Alright, after Batman, Tim Burton pretty much had free reign to do whatever he wants, so he was like, I'm gonna make Batman my way. So now we have Batman Returns. So let's review that one. Batman Returns. Alright, so in Batman Returns, Batman does indeed return, and now we have two villains, the Penguin and Catwoman. And here's the thing about the Penguin, alright? The Penguin isn't actually crazy as I understand him in the comic books. I mean, he's one of those guys that he's a good businessman, he gets rich, he deals weapons, he does whatever, he does his crime thing. But in the end, you lock him up in prison, not Arkham Asylum, because he's not actually crazy, he's not out of his mind. The Penguin in Batman Returns, completely out of his mind. And he's played by Danny DeVito, and I cannot think of a better person in the early 90s that was made to play the Penguin than Danny DeVito. He is really a piece of shit in this movie. He wants to take all the firstborn kids of Gotham and throw them into this lake of sewage and kill them. Other than his motives, he actually is a vulgar bastard. He's like 90% of the reason that parents across the world, including mine, were like, oh yeah, my kids loved the first Batman. What? They're not watching this weird shit. I mean, Penguin's biting someone's nose, blood shooting everywhere. He's talking about giving this girl his flipper trick. Yeah, he was a sick little weirdo, and there were a lot of parents who were like, nah, not for my kids. And he's one of the embodiments in this movie that shows that the Batman franchise under Tim Burton has gone from the Batman franchise to the Tim Burton franchise. Yeah, it's pretty much the Tim Burton show. I mean, you have some weird elements in this movie. And then you have Christopher Walken wanting to make the Penguin the mayor of Gotham City, and Batman's like, I don't think so, not while it's Batman Returns and I'm returning as Batman. And then Christopher Walken's character Max Schreck takes his secretary, pushes her out a window, she splats on the ground, and then she gets resurrected as Catwoman. Which you can argue a weird resurrection element was in the first Batman with the Joker. He should have died in the acid. He didn't. He just got a bleached face and now he's back as the Joker. But this is a chick who dropped about 20 something to 40 stories and just smashed onto the pavement, and then cats brought her back to life, and now she has 9 lives. She has 9 lives! You could take a gun and shoot her in the face 8 times, and on the 9th she'll actually die. You see the Tim Burtonisms coming through now. As for Catwoman, I remember Catwoman just being like, she's the reason I hit puberty. You know, you remember watching it and you're like, oh yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer, best Catwoman ever. She's hot, she's sexy, and then you watch it now and you're like, she's kind of a whore. There's no better definition to define her than absolute slutbag whore. She gets done with a scrap with Batman, she's feeling him up and grabbing his balls or whatever. I mean, granted, Batman and Catwoman need that sexual tension, you know, that energy. But there's more to sexual tension than licking a guy's face and grabbing his balls after you fight him. However, she does work for this weird Tim Burton live-action cartoon that we're watching that is entertaining as hell, but the definitive Catwoman that I remember her being, not so much as I watch it as an adult. Don't get me wrong, Catwoman's still hot as hell, but I'm just saying, it's like that really, you're glad she's slutty hot. You know, there are girls like that where you're like, I don't require you to be sexy or smart or anything like that. I need you to be you right now. Arkham City Catwoman, that is the Catwoman. She's sexy, she's tough, she's smart, she's adventurous, but she's not a complete whore in heat. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, no, Pfeiffer's the best Catwoman ever. Don't let your nostalgia hold you back from seeing what I'm saying. I mean, in the end, can you see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. And Penguin has this weird circus crew that he walks around with, he pals around with, and they cause havoc and trouble, and they screw up the lighting of the tree ceremony. And they're a bunch of weirdos, but they got these really cool costumes. That guy on the motorbike with the skeleton helmet with the weird shifty eyes. It looks really cool, but it is clearly Tim Burton going, sweet, the chains of the studio bonds have been broken. The studio gave me free reign to do whatever I want. This is what I'm doing. I mean, some of the scenes go from cartoony to completely unbelievable. Like, there's a scene where the Penguin takes control of the Batmobile, right? And he's controlling the Batmobile in this little Batmobile arcade thing. Like, you're like, where did he get that? You're like, no, it's just being goofy now. I do enjoy the vibe of this movie though. It's got that weird Christmas, Halloween vibe going on. The soundtrack is great. I mean, the soundtrack is really good. I bought it back in the day. It's still good now. That scene where Catwoman's just freaking out because, I don't know, she's morphing into Catwoman or Twilight ended or whatever reason she's trashing her apartment. That song that plays in that scene, still one of the best songs on the soundtrack. In the end, Batman Returns is pretty much a testament that Tim Burton has never read a Batman comic book in his entire life, but he can take Batman characters, put them in a movie with his style, and still make it a pretty entertaining movie. I will say Batman Returns is a good time, no alcohol required. If you hate Batman Returns because you love Batman lore and it completely butchers the characters and Batman lore, it's fine. I understand where you're coming from. I'm just saying it's entertaining from where I'm standing. So have you seen Batman Returns? Do you like Batman Returns? I think that's the big question here. I think people really like this movie, really hate this movie. I don't know many in-betweeners at this point. However you stand, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.